Hey, what is going on, guys? Carter here with Edge Mindset. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to have a fabulous time. Fun time. So good. So good. You're going to tell all your friends about the great time you had hanging out with me in front of a camera. Probably on your phone. I assume you're on your phone. Comment down below if you're watching this from a laptop or desktop or phone. I'm assuming 95% phone. We're taking a look at the TFF-4 from Medford. I just want to give some opinions on this knife. I think it's a pretty dang good knife. Full disclosure, this was made for me and sent to me for free, so keep that in mind, but I am completely unbiased. I don't have, like, a deal with Medford, and you can watch the original unboxing if you want the full story, but basically, a bunch of cool cool people, I don't know, why did I say kids? Because I'm old? I don't know. A bunch of cool people that work at Medford are fans of the channel, and they pooled together and bought me this knife. Now, I didn't know they bought me the knife. I assumed this was provided by Medford. I didn't know that they basically, bought the thing for me until after it was sent to me. So I'm forever grateful for that. That makes it mean so much more to me. I've had a couple people reach out saying, hey, would you sell this knife? Reach out to me if you ever want to get rid of it. I will not get rid of this knife. I will not get rid of any special knives that I own, which aren't all that many. You'd think I would have more of those running this channel for as long as I have, but I've really only got like 2 or 3 like knives that were like specially done for me or have some sort of really cool like friendship story behind them, and this is one of them. The other thing I wanted to point out is I have modified this knife a little bit. So originally this had an anodized bronze titanium inlay right here, and I actually removed the anodization. Obviously you're looking at it, you have eyes, but I removed the anodization from that to give it a little more contrast. I like the way it looks a lot better this way. It looked good before, but I think it looks a little bit better this way with that contrast and not being too crazy. I had thought about maybe anodizing it like purple, but I kind of like the gray, with that Predator sculpt on there. So TFF-4, relatively new model from Medford, and Medford doesn't crank out a lot of new stuff nowadays, so take that with a grain of salt, but this is kind of one of the newer models aside from the OTFs. But they reached out to me, one person reached out to me and said they were gonna put together a knife for me to show on the channel, and this is it. And I was able to pick the blade style, Vulcan. I picked the sculpt on the titanium inlay. Traditionally, you could only get like micarta and G10 inlays, and they decided to try some titanium, and I was part of this titanium like push, right? This new style they were trying. So they let me pick out the sculpt on here. I picked Predator. I just thought it would look really, really cool, and I picked the bronze coloration. They also threw on a nice American flag lasering on the pocket clip right there. But so aside from the modification, I've got one more mod I got to talk about. Not really a mod, but adjustment. So aside from that, really the point of this video is just to review the model as the model. The other thing I wanted to point out is I removed the Skull Crusher glass breaker backspacer. So I just have the standoffs here. Really easy to do. I mean, these standoffs just go right through that titanium glass breaker. I just felt with this kind of slimmer bearings, flipper knife, kind of EDC knife, it just seemed cleaner, and it also, lightened it up a little bit by removing the big, not titanium, big steel glass breaker on the back here. And, it just, I think it looks better without it. The Skull Crusher glass breaker, it was a little too aggressive for this model in my opinion, so I removed that. But you can leave it on, you can remove it, whatever you want, easy to do. You just take it apart, you're good to go. So, let's do size on here. It's a very good kind of carryable size. It is on the larger end. It's almost 3 3/4 inch blade. Overall length is almost it's like 8.5 with the glass breaker on there. It's a little bit under that, obviously, once you remove it. This one is an S45VN. It's got those beautiful grind lines on there with that Vulcan finish. By the way, this is not a painted finish. This is leftover from the heat treat. So Medford figured out if they finagle the heat treat bags and let in a little bit of oxygen and do some other things, some proprietary things they figured out, they can create a really cool pattern with the heat treat scale. Now, heat treat scale is a part of heat treating, and all knives will have it. Normally, it's considered unfinished, and the scale is removed because it's kind of just like a chalky, ugly gray. And a lot of the times there's additional finish grinding that needs to be done on the blade after heat treat. Medford figured out how to do all of their finish grinding before so that they can heat treat the blade without any issues and kind of leave this cool coloration on there. So the reason I point that out is I get a number of comments on these Vulcan finishes where they think it's some sort of like, I don't know, they liken it to like a cheap gas station-y type finish. Now, if you want to draw that opinion based on how it looks, cool, that's on you. But fundamentally, chemically, it isn't, right? This is not some just weird laser job or like paint or something like that. It's actually a cool, natural process as part of the heat treating. So very cool. You've got a nice fuller right here. Really, it's just for looks. You can't get your finger in there. I've had a number of people ask. At least I can't. I don't think anyone can. I mean, that is really, really skinny. Would have been cool if maybe you could, but this is a flipper-only knife, essentially, and it flips pretty damn good. Now, when you first get it, it's going to need some breaking in, especially if you get this version with the Vulcan finish, because you've got to wear in this detent ball, which, by the way, is fully exposed, which is very common for Medford. A lot of people do not like seeing this, and they do not like the lock face sticking up above the scales. I struggle with that as well. But if you don't care, yeah, no big deal. Now, the trade-off to having some of these goofy type features is the fact that it has a really good blade to handle ratio, which Medford is very, very into. And what I mean by that is the amount of blade you get for handle is as close to 1-to-1 as you can get. It's as close to like a fixed bladey type thing as you can get. Fundamentally, whenever you take a knife and you put it in a handle, you're going to lose real estate. You can never get as much blade as handle length that you can get because you've got this fulcrum point right here, fulcrum point with the pivot. You're always going to have like dead space. And the further down the blade is, the more dead space you have and the less blade you can cram on the handle and all that kind of stuff. So to improve that, you move the pivot as high as you possibly can, but that's where you run into things like this, and this. It's just part of it, right? It's a trade-off. It's not better or worse which way you go. It's a matter of what you care about or don't care about. Handle is full titanium. It's nice and slim. This is kind of their carry knife. It is large though. Full grip. Even if you have XXL hands, you're going to get a full grip on this knife. Feels pretty good. Nothing fancy going on. No crazy chamfering. Everything is nice and softened, but it's not contoured or anything like that. Once this thing breaks in, it sings. I believe I mentioned it's running on bearings. There are a few Medford models that run on bearings. This is one of them. This also doesn't have any proprietary pivot stuff or anything, although it does take a very large Torx bit right there. So not everybody's going to have that, but at least it's readily available. And if you have a Torx kit, it probably has one big enough. I think it's like a 15 or 20, something like that, pretty large. Lock bar stabilizer, mill titanium pocket clip. Let's do a weight. I should have done that before. It doesn't really make sense to do it now, but we're going to do it now anyways, because that's how it rolls. 5.1 ounces, so more than carryable. No lightning or anything like that. Thick titanium slabs. Pretty good access to that lock bar. You got chamfering on both sides. Carbidized lock face. I don't have any stick on here. Now, occasionally, carbidized lock faces will, they'll wear through. They're not a forever thing, and so it's possible with enough openings, it will develop stick at some point, and you'll have to send it in to get recarbidized or just live with the stick. Kind of depends on personal preference. But overall, the TFF-4, I feel, is the more approachable knife from Medford. It gets away from the insane oversizedness of like something like this. This is not a Medford, but I just have it handy. It's kind of indicative of like what you would typically think of with a Medford. So very much different. Medford doesn't do anything this crazy, but they get close. They get within that ballpark, or have historically gotten within that ballpark. So very good size overall. It's pretty cool. TFF-4, I really, really like it. And of course, super appreciative that this was done for me. It's going to be mine forever, and I absolutely love it, and I think it looks awesome. Comment down below, what do you think of the TFF-4? Thanks for hanging out. Talk to you later.